Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
Squeezing liquid out of hair on Shabbos and restrictions that may be applicable towards drying your hair. An individual went to the mikveh, took a shower, or simply poured some water over their head to cool themselves down. Or even just took a drink and got their beard or mustache saturated with liquid. Are there any restrictions against squeezing water out of the hair on Shabbos? And if so, how do these restrictions affect one's ability to dry it using a towel and the like on Shabbos after going to mikveh, shower, etc.? So our sugya, our subject, begins in the Gemara in Shabbos 128b, in which Rabba and Rav Yosef make a statement that there is no prohibition of schita, of squeezing by hair. Meaning, as in all Shabbos laws, for something to be prohibited, it's not enough for it to sound like it's wrong. It has to have a basis in one of the Lamates Malachas, in one of the 39 principal forbidden works. Now, one of the prohibitions of the 39 is called mefarik, which is the action of squeezing an item out of another item, squeezing liquid juice out of a cloth, out of a fruit, etc. And therefore, the question is raised, if hair has saturated with liquid, it is questionable whether it is permitted to squeeze that liquid out of the hair. Does it transgress the mefarik prohibition? On this, Rabba and Rav Yosef novelized that there is no schita squeezing prohibition regarding hair. So this would seem that it's a clear road. You can do what you want, no restrictions. However, in truth, we find a debate in the Poskim as to how to properly understand this Gemara. Were they referring to the biblical prohibition, or were they referring to even a rabbinical prohibition? Some Poskim learn that indeed when they said there is no prohibition, they meant even rabbinically, and therefore it's permitted, and there's no restrictions of squeezing hair on Shabbos. So learns the Meiri in Nida 67b, the Avnei Nezer 157.14, the Chidan Shiri Bracha 199.3 based on the Beis Yosef, and other Poskim. However, the vast majority of the Poskim, and so is the final halacha rule, that this statement in the Gemara was only regards to a biblical prohibition, that squeezing hair on Shabbos does not contain a biblical malach. However, rabbinically, the sages decreed against doing so, and therefore it is forbidden to do so like any other rabbinical prohibition on Shabbos. As although in truth you're not really squeezing water out of the hair, as the hair is hard and does not absorb the water or the liquid, and that's why there is no biblical prohibition. To the outsider it seems like it does. The hair that's fat, the water and liquid found in between the hairs, to the outsider looks like it's absorbed in the hair, just like in a cloth. And therefore the sages applied their decree. So rules the Alter Rebbe in 326.6, 331, based on the rulings of the Magen Avram, the Beis Yosef, the Kesef Mishnah, the Rambam, the Kolbei, the Maril, and so concludes the Mishnah Berurah in numerous places, the Aruch HaShulchan, the Kaf HaChaim, and so is the final halacha for all jury. Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Chassidim alike. It's forbidden to squeeze hair on Shabbos. Based on this, the Alter Rebbe concludes, based on the ruling of the Magen Avram, and so is brought in the Mishnah Berurah, that every bather, everyone who bathes on Shabbos, mikvah, shower, wetting their head, must be careful not to squeeze the hair in the process. So we will now address a number of questions based on this ruling to understand what's exactly allowed and what's not. First off and foremost, what areas of hair of the body are included in this restriction and which are not? And everyone agrees there's no squeezing prohibition by them. So the K'tzais HaShulchan in chapter 133, footnote 8, as is brought in other Malaktim of this generation, and this is the conclusive ruling, explains that only hair that grows in close proximity to each other, such as the hair of the head, the beard, the underarms, and pubic area, are included in this restriction against squeezing. However, the hair that grows on arms, legs, are too distant from each other, and therefore they don't contain a squeezing prohibition, even rabbinically. So if your hair on your arms or legs are wet, you're allowed to squeeze the water out. Regarding the eyelashes, we find a machlekes amongst the Poskim. This happens often, that eyelashes get wet in the rain, when you wash your face, and it's annoying, you want to squeeze it out. So some Poskim say it's mutter. Eyelashes are not considered a kibbutz aris, a gathering of hair. So is the Shulchan, Mincha Shabbos, of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, and others. However, there are Poskim who do limit and restrict the eyelashes as well, and say that there is a squeezing prohibition involved. Practically, one may be lenient in a time of need. Regarding the eyebrows, Ideally, it does not contain a squeezing prohibition, but if a person has a lot of eyebrow lashes, which are close together, then the prohibition may apply. Regarding the mustache, if a man may squeeze liquid out of his mustache, the Ben Ish Chai records in Parshas Pekudei 2:8 that one is to be careful to avoid doing so using his hands. However, he may use a towel to do it. And so records also the Ktseis HaShulchan in chapter 133, footnote 8. Regarding scratching the hair if the hair is wet. So the Mincha Shabbos writes that it is permitted to do so, to scratch an itch on wet hair, as you have no interest or no care to squeeze out any liquid, and it's considered a term in halacha called psikresha de leinichale, as well as since the itch is bothersome, it's painful. In a case of pain, the sages do not make the decree. Nonetheless, it's best to do so not using one's fingers, but rather a hat or another object, and that gains the advantage that the squeezing has taken place through a secondary item and not through your hands. Emir Tashem, in the coming sections on this halacha, we will discuss any restrictions involved in using a towel to dry your hair on Shabbos, and if it transgresses the squeezing prohibition. And in Mitzvah, we will also discuss the law regarding if one may wash his hair on Shabbos using his hands, as when you use your hands and you don't just dip your hair in water, the hand use causes water to get squeezed from the hair, and whether this is prohibited or not. Meretz Hashem, in the future halachas, this will be discussed.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at Shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.